Stigmatization around mental health still exists. In the last several years, there's been an uptick in shared treatment experiences, specifically for those who were in treatment as an adolescent over the last 30 years. As a consultant working with young adults only, it's been unsettling to hear about the horrific experiences that some folks have described. As someone trained as a counselor, we were taught to do no harm. I lead with this for each client I work with. While recording this special parent series, over the last year, several parents have suggested I interview their young adults. The special parent series is noted as being just that. It's about the parent perspective only. I'm now branching out to launch the former participant series, extending the opportunity for former participants who feel comfortable talking about their journey, doing so on this podcast. No topic is off limits, and not all stories are positive. This series is meant to be honest, transparent, and real for each individual's experience through the treatment continuum. Please note that this special former participant series is the adult's perspective of their treatment experience during adolescence or as a young adult. This is merely one perspective of a single story, and it's important to know that names have been changed for the protection of the interviewee unless they have requested not to do so. These episodes may include details surrounding suicide, self-harm, substance abuse, including overdose, hospitalizations, psychotic episodes, and other traumatic experiences which include parts of the treatment journey. That includes working with consultants, being escorted by a transport company, wilderness therapy, and a residential treatment program. All that is to say, listener discretion is advised. Welcome to an episode with a former participant in treatment.
It's time now for the Success is Subjective podcast. Here is your host and therapeutic consultant for young adults only, Joanna Lilley.
Hi, and welcome to the show. If you're new here, I'm glad to have you. This podcast was formed to collectively build a bank of stories from normal people sharing their non-linear paths. Unfortunately, social media paints a narrow picture of what success looks like, so I'm doing my best to spread the news that changing course is common and you don't have to know what you want to do the rest of your life at 18. If you're a parent worried about your young adult and whether their path is leading them to success, you're in the right place. I'm a therapeutic consultant who works with young adults to connect them with resources that'll help them get back on a better path. So if you're curious, let's chat. You can schedule a free consultation through my website, which you can find the link for in the show notes. Today, my guest is Kelly Wu. Kelly is the COO of PCH and is also a licensed social worker specializing in treatment for chronic pain. Her own personal story starts in treatment as an adolescent and lasts almost a decade until she finally started her recovery journey. I enjoyed this episode even more because we talked a lot about her parallel journey of being a college student and how she really didn't start working towards a degree until after she got sober. So this whole idea of like, oh my gosh, you have to stay as a student, or for parents that are really trying to wrestle with this idea of, hey, but they're doing quote unquote okay in classes. It's acceptable for them to continue to be a student, but meanwhile, they're really struggling and they're not earning the credits. This was like the primo conversation. And so I just really appreciated Kelly being open and honest about it. Kelly also has a great laugh, and boy, did I enjoy laughing with her as we were reflecting back on parts of her story. It was bittersweet to finally have her on, so let's not wait any longer. Here's Kelly. All right. Kelly, I'm so excited to have you as a guest on the podcast. I feel like I've been chasing you down for years to do this.
I know. I'm so stoked to be here.
Well, and I'm super excited for your recent promotion, which we're going to get to, but we want to start with kind of like the journey that led you to where you are now. And one of the things that we have talked about in the past is that, and I think I vaguely remember having this conversation maybe when you were at Grace Recovery. Like, I think that's when we first met, and I was talking about like the podcast and, here's who my clients are. And you were like, that was me. Right. And so that's what I like seed planted, where I was like, all right, I got to have Kelly on. So I want to get a little bit of background on kind of how, what your journey was as somebody that is, out there in the world sharing, personal treatment experience, but leading to the work that you're doing now. And we will, this story is going to be like high level because we have such a short amount of time, but we're going to make sure that folks have the ability to connect with you after this. So contact information in the show notes once we get to Kelly talking about the work that she's doing, which is pretty rad. Kelly, where did you even grow up? I don't even know that.
I grew up out in LA, so in
You did?
Pacific Palisades. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me then, when we met back when you were working at Grace, you were, I think, an adolescent maybe when you were in treatment, or were you a young adult? I don't remember.
So I went to treatment as an adolescent. Did it help? No.
Okay.
Or was I ready for it? No.
No.
So when I like officially got sober, I don't know. I think I was at the very end of young adult. I was 24, so maybe
Yeah.
like the end cap of young adult. But yeah, that's when I like officially for the last time got sober.
Okay. All right, so let's shine a spotlight on the experience in treatment that did not work. Like you said, was it effective? No. So I'm not going to ask for the nitty gritty, but if there is anything that feels important, like obviously you kind of alluded to it, there was substance use. So what was leading to your parents intervening? Treatment, probably not great, but just share whatever part of that part of your journey with us right now.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think I got into treatment because I got a kid drunk at my house and his parents picked him up and were like, what is going on? And so I think that's what like highlighted to my family that there was an issue. But there was significant issues growing up entirely. I was super angry, started using super young, and yeah, like everything declined, like education, sports, like everything declined. And back then there weren't really people like you know what I mean? It was just like
Yeah.
parents talking to each other, and like we all kind of got sent to the same spot, and there wasn't really any like preparation or explanation of like why is this important and exploration of like what's really going on. It was really just like plop them in there and like kind of set it and forget it. And it was just like really basic kind of surface level stuff like groups, some counseling, but not really any exploration of like what's really going on. It was just like
Yeah.
stop using and like get sober, you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, I mean, I was a horrendous adolescent in treatment. I was so mean. Like it was like awful. So, I mean, I don't know necessarily if like treatment didn't work for me or if I just like was an awful person, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, I imagine you were just kind of saying like I was really angry, right? Like, and
totally.
somebody that's just like at the core of your being, like obviously it's a mask really for what else is
Hmm.
going on, but like if you're an angry teenage girl, stay far away because that person is spitting venom. And so to
Totally.
your point, like I don't know if it was, I mean, it probably was a combination of like not effective treatment, but definitely how you were showing up as somebody that really was dealing with a lot of anger. Like that will play out differently for sure in how you are. Okay. So fast forward, it wasn't until you were 24 when you actually were like, okay, I need to get this together. Was there any, and I don't want to like belabor the like ineffective treatment experiences, but if you can share with the audience, what was it that made it click when you were 24? Was it someone? Was it a treatment experience? Was it like what, or was there a combination of things? Like what made that be the final straw?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a combination of things. It was my clinical team, I think, made a really big difference. Also, the fact that, like, I had nothing left. I was just as involved. That was a pretty big motivator, you know? Yeah, I mean, I was like on the streets. I had nothing left. Like when I had gone to treatment many times. I tried a number of things, but I always had like something to go back to. And this last time, I had really nothing to go back to. I had no relationships, no friends. I mean, obviously, I never really had a career or anything like that previously. But yeah, it was the culmination of like really hitting. I mean, they say bottom. I don't know if bottom is really like quantifiable. I think that you can always go lower or you can always go higher.
Hmm.
But just the fact that I had like no ulterior resources and then a clinical team for sure that like understood what I was saying, my case manager specifically, who like became my everything ultimately. But yeah, like somebody that actually was invested. I think that
Yeah.
I also like in a lot of treatment experiences or like even clinical like therapists, individual providers, there was like a pretty big disconnect in terms of like not feeling understood or not feeling like the provider even cared to understand. It was very much this like power dynamic of this is what you need to do. And like, I'm not even interested in like what got you here or why it's difficult
Mm.
for you to do it, you know?
Yeah, almost like I'm envisioning the heads in beds kind of mentality where it's like you're just another person. Like I'm not really going to invest in you because I'm not treating you like a person, right? Like somebody that actually is like hurting at the core and need support, need connection, need mentorship, like need somebody to care.
Totally.
Okay, so let me actually back up. And here's like a little side note. I'm curious because also I'm just wondering if, you ended up going off to college at 18 or like what the academic journey was, because I think that's also like a really cool part of the story. Okay, cool. You're like shaking your head like, yeah, no. When did you even go to school or like what was school like?
Yeah, I mean, from high school, I went to like continuation school, which is like the school that you go to, like if you can't hack it in like regular public school. I had like a significant like decline. I started at Harvard Westlake in ninth grade, which is like a really prestigious like high school. And then immediately after ninth grade, went to Pali, which is a public school. And then I think even within my 10th grade year, went to continuation school. So like significant drop. And then I went to SMC, which is a community college afterwards. I think I did SMC for technically 10 years, which is it's a 2 year community college. I did.
I'm only laughing hard because you're laughing hard.
No, it's ridiculous. No, it is ridiculous. So I think 10 years, I think I came out with like 10 credits out of the entire 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, not a great academic, experience or performance whatsoever. But so yeah, I went to school like once I got sober as a full adult.
Yeah. And at that point too, like I imagine that I always say to colleges that actually listen, if you actually marketed your like degree programs towards people in recovery, like you would have the highest retention rates because people are able to focus. They have vision and understanding that they want to do. There's an opportunity for connection, gratitude. Like it's just a different type of young person, regardless of age, right? So irrelevant, but colleges don't listen to me. So that's a whole other conversation.
Well, they should. They should.
Thank you. All right. Anybody listening, you should listen to me. But now you have a master's degree. Not only do you have a master's degree, you're also a licensed clinician.
Yeah.
You've gone the distance. So from 10 years of SMC to where you are now, like You've been a student forever.
For my entire sobriety. Yeah. I started with like the traditional like KDAC program right when I got sober, like a year after I got sober, and then jumped into my bachelor's and then my master's. Like I had, like I said, 10 credits pretty much. So I had like
Wow.
no educational background, nothing to like work off of. I'm always so envious of people who like got their bachelor's or even their master's when they were like loaded. I'm like, how did you do it?
Not well.
Yeah, I mean, but they did it and they had degrees. I'm like, okay, good for you. Well, I'll just be here doing school for a decade. It's fine.
Well, it's a prime example that college isn't going anywhere. So like, and you're never too old to pursue a different path. So I just want to do a quick plug before we get too off course, because obviously the reason why I asked about the academic piece, and I appreciate you being transparent about your journey, because a lot of parents, when a young adult is taking a break from school, or they leave school or they're in treatment, there's like this growing fear of like, they'll never go back or they'll never graduate, or even worse, like if they are managing to muddle through academically while they're still loaded, the parents kind of weigh that, well, like they're still working towards their degree. Why should I intervene right now when their substance abuse apparently isn't like totally destroying their career path, which I mean, that's a whole other conversation in itself. But I say all of that. And the reason why I wanted to ask that is because it's just so intertwined with a lot of times people that have any type of treatment journey, is that the academic piece was impacted in some capacity. And if only parents could hear more of these interviews like yours, your entire academic career has been during your recovery journey. Like period, full stop. It didn't really start until you were 24, even though you were at SMC for, a decade. It doesn't matter because you weren't really invested or able to be a full student until you were sober.
Yeah. And I think that was at the beginning a big reason why I stayed at SMC for 10 years was like, to my parents, it was like if I was enrolled in classes, then like it was fine. Right. And it's like clearly it was not fine whatsoever. There was nothing about it that was fine. But it was like the externalized view of, oh, well, you're in school or you're in this. And so it's okay. Yeah. But I was truly like dying inside. Right. And yeah, absolutely. School is not going anywhere. I remember I was reluctant to get back into school just because it felt so daunting. And I was like, it'll take forever. And one of my really good friends who had just completed his master's degree and was like older than I was like, the time is going to go by no matter what. Like, will you have a degree in 10 years or will you not? Right. And so that really like made sense to me. Like, okay, I mean, just one foot at a time. And because I was sober, because I had a foundation of knowing how to suit up and show up and knowing how to put my head down and be a student among students, worker among workers, like staying in the present moment, staying mindful, regulating, I was able to get through it while working full time at a pretty gnarly pace at work too.
Well, let's use that as the segue, because obviously your journey led you on the path from getting your KDAC to now being, are you an LCSW or, okay, so LCSW, if you feel comfortable kind of sharing leading to where you are now, you can do that. But more importantly, I just want to highlight, like, what is your role right now and where are you working? Because that is so important for people to hear, to also be able to connect the dots of like where you were, right? The journey, right? Angry teenage Kelly to where you are now, professional adult Kelly. I'm not saying you're not angry, because we're human. Sometimes we could be angry. I'll speak for myself. I could be real angry real quick sometimes.
Totally. Yeah.
But I want to know what you're doing, because I think people need to hear that elevation or trajectory of like, you can still make it, right? Like you can still continue to achieve professional success and personal success.
Totally. Yeah. So I am the chief operating officer at PCH Treatment, and we're a primary mental health facility. And also I am doing individual therapy as well at a clinic that's focused on pain recovery and curing from chronic pain. I had like a horrific journey while I was going back to school of chronic pain where I like literally could not walk for longer than like 5 minutes. And as you know, I'm like very active.
Yeah.
And for like 2 years, I had gnarly chronic pain and then was able to figure out a way to cure it. And so I'm doing that as well in individual sessions. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I feel like this question, probably I know the answer, but I'm still going to ask it anyways. Having heard like a little bits and spurts of your treatment journey, right? Not just like in adolescence, but some of the even like outpatient or chronic pain supports. What from your treatment experience is helping you in your life, personally or professionally today?
Ooh, I mean, I would have to say like everything.
Is there any one thing that stands out? I was gonna ask more, but then I didn't want to like fill the space or like lead you to water.
Yeah, lead me to the water. I just want to have a sip.
I'm just thinking about the like, if there's anything specific, right? Like adolescent treatment back when, right, is so different than it is now, but yet there's still such a spotlight on how like traumatizing it can be developmentally. Also, I think that I could go out on a limb and say like, you probably ended up being a clinician because you ended up having either some really shitty clinical experiences and you're like, a part of my path is to make sure that I'm able to give back to people like I was not given to. Or on the flip side of that, you had some really killer clinicians that you crossed paths with, maybe not as an adolescent, but like later in life. And that made your path more defined of like, this is what I also want to do in terms of the like my life's calling or being of service. Again, now here I am leading you to water. And I'm like, no, I'm not just leading you to water, Kelly. I'm like scooping up the water and I'm like putting it like the pail by your mouth.
I have a trough. It's like around my neck. I feel so good about it. But that's what I meant. Like everything that I went through directly impacts what I'm doing today, you know? And that's why I came to work in treatment. That's why I'm doing the therapy that I'm doing, is just basically like I was able to achieve freedom from things that I thought could never change. And having that experience myself has absolutely launched me into this work, because all I want is for other people to experience the freedom that I've been able and had the privilege to achieve. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So final question. Maybe final question. We'll see. If your younger self could actually see you right now, like where you're at, what you're doing, like, what do you think your younger self would say?
It's hard to say because I was so cynical. I'd probably just, I mean, I don't think it would be cute.
Kelly, you don't have to be cute. What would your younger self say? Just shoot it straight. What would your cynical self say?
I think she would just be like, okay, good for you. Like, who cares?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so clearly she doesn't care where you're at now, but I do. So here is the last question, because you work with consenting adults that are coming saying, I need help. either at PCH or in your private practice. So I am going to let you decide whether or not you want to give this directed towards that young adult, or if you want to give this advice directed towards the parent of the young adult. So I will defer to you on how you want to answer this. But if you could just give any advice to, a younger version of Kelly, regardless of her being cynical, or a parent of Kelly who is really struggling, is there anything that you haven't already said that you would say now for advice?
I guess the advice would be focus on what happened and why, rather than what is currently happening and why. And I think healthy boundaries are the most important way to save somebody's life.
Yep. I feel like that is a mic drop moment. So you could not have shared more pointed advice. And it goes two ways, right? We're talking about for the young adult and the parent. Like you could not, healthy boundaries are the most important. So on that note, we'll make sure that we have all of the ways to connect you, learn about PCH, learn about your private practice in the show notes so people can connect with you. And Kelly, I just appreciate you coming on this, being candid about your experience as a young person in treatment, and then also as like a checkered academic path, like adult learner, because that also is so important for people. I mean, honestly, I don't think I like spotlight that enough on this show. And so maybe I'll do it more now that you and I have had this conversation, but college isn't going anywhere. And I'm just glad that you were able to pursue the path that you did, getting the degrees that you got.
Same. Thank you.
That's it for this week's Success is Subjective episode. We want to thank our guest for joining Joanna on the show this week and for being willing to share your journey. This podcast would not exist if it weren't for people such as yourself. Stay tuned for our next episode, where you can bet it'll be another amazing human sharing their personal story with the world. Make sure you check out the show notes, where you will find contact information, website details, and all social media for our guest. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, you can email joanna@lilleyconsulting.com. Be sure to check out the lilleyconsulting.com website for additional resources outside of podcasting. Now, if you're listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. And while you're at it, feel free to leave a review. You can also download to listen to the Success is Subjective podcast on other popular podcast apps, such as Audible, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Thanks again for listening in, and remember, there is no single path through life. Success is what you make it.